This meeting of the Gaston City Council will now come to order. Clerk, will you call roll?
Councilman Tillis II.
Present.
Councilwoman Lawler.
Present.
Councilman Alexander.
Present.
Councilwoman Sims.
Present.
Councilman Davis.
Present.
Councilwoman Spears.
Present.
Councilman Simpson.
Present.
We have a quorum. This meeting is open for business. Sims, please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you would, just bow your heads. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we will have the proclamations read by Mayor Jonathan Summerlin.
Whereas this 19th day of April 2016, I proclaim this day Honorary Veterans Day in the city of Gaston. This day to acknowledge all men and women in Gaston and Etowah County for their years of service and dedication to our country. The city of Gaston expresses sincere gratitude for your efforts at home and abroad. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Jonathan Summerlin, Mayor of the city of Gaston, by the virtue of authority vested in me, recognize the 19th day of April as Honorary Veterans Day. Whereas this 19th day of April 2016, I proclaim this day Gaston City High Class of 2016 Day in the city of Gaston. This day is to honor the senior class and wish them well in their future endeavors. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Jonathan Summerlin, Mayor of the city of Gaston, by the virtue of authority vested in me, proclaim this day, April 19, 2016, Gaston City High School Class of 2016 Day in the city of Gaston. Whereas this 19th day of April 2016, I proclaim this day Renza Avery Day in the city of Gaston. This day is to recognize former SRO Renza Avery for his years of service to Gaston City High School. We thank Officer Avery for helping to keep our school environment safe. You will be missed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Jonathan Summerlin, Mayor of the city of Gaston, by the virtue of authority vested in me, recognize the 19th day of April as Renza Avery Day in the city of Gaston.
Do we have any unfinished business?
No.
At this time, we will have the reading of the ordinances. Mr. Alexander?
Renovation of city parks. The parks throughout the city are places where the young and old can visit for relaxation and to enjoy the amenities they offer. There is a growing need for the parks to be upgraded and more things added to each park.
This ordinance is now open for discussion. Mayor Summerlin?
Do we have a budget set in place?
Mr. Alexander?
Definitely. With the smaller parks, I would say roughly 35,000 to the bigger parks, in which we'd probably use 150,000.
Mayor Summerlin?
Now, these renovations we're talking about, are we talking about completely tearing down the parks or just adding on to it?
Tillis II?
No, we won't be tearing them down. We will just be adding more to it, making them bigger and safer.
Mr. Alexander?
To add on to what Tillis II said, tearing them down would take a lot more money as opposed to just adding more things to them.
Ms. Lawler?
I agree with Mr. Alexander. I think we should also add to the main park, Marine water park as it used to be, and tearing it down would cost more. So we may not use as much money as proposed today.
Mr. Alexander?
Also, with renovation, I believe that we should make sure it's a safer place for the elderly and the younger kids. We should make sure that there are no smoking, no drinking, just to make sure that it's clean and kept up.
This ordinance is now closed for discussion. Mr. Simpson?
Ziplining and kayaking at the falls. The falls is a beautiful state attraction and it attracts tourists nationwide. The falls would become a bigger attraction if it were to add ziplining and kayaking as features of the park.
This ordinance is now open for discussion. Mayor Summerlin?
How do we go about advertising this? Because I agree, it would bring tourist attraction and more money, but if people don't know about it, then it really doesn't matter because they won't come.
Mr. Simpson?
We would use media as a advertisement and also billboards around the city.
Mr. Alexander?
Sponsorships from restaurants and other places could also help.
Mr. Davis?
Would there be an age limit on this?
Mr. Tillis II?
I believe that if you are under the age of 15 or if you don't have a license, you should have someone with a license with you. But if you're over the age of 16 and you have your driver's license on you, you will be able to ride.
Mayor Summerlin?
Do we have a budget in place to make this happen?
Mr. Alexander?
It depends on what all we're going to add to them. Because if we're just going for like the cheapest, that would probably cost around $250,000 to oppose adding more than just it being there. And like we want people to go not just for it, but for more than that. And if we do that, we'd probably be spending around $600,000.
One thing we do need to ensure with doing this is that they have to sign a liability contract. Because if someone was to get hurt, they would come back and blame it on the city. So we need to make sure that they know that they're doing this at their own risk, not the city's risk. This ordinance is now closed for discussion. Ms. Spears?
Volunteer citywide prayer. The city of Gaston is a great family town. How great it would be if we had a day set aside for voluntary prayer once a year. There is power in prayer, especially when we gather together in unity praying on one accord for our city.
This ordinance is now open for discussion. Ms. Spears?
Where would this volunteer prayer be held?
Mr. Tillis II?
We could go about doing this two different ways. We could either have it at the Gaston City High School football stadium. We could hold it there and also have it at Murphy Stadium. So because we will have a bigger facility to have it there and to be able to fit more people. Or we can also have each councilman hold a place in this district to hold the citywide prayer.
Mayor Summerlin?
I agree with everything that's being said. We definitely need annual prayer because there is power in prayer, but we have to make sure that our citizens know that we support the First Amendment, religious freedom, so we're not forcing this. It's voluntary, so anybody can come out if they choose.
Mr. Tillis II?
I agree, but I also see this as a great opportunity for the people of the community to get out and actually to get involved in the community and to come together so that we can meet who all is in our district and know who is actually our councilman and to just have this opportunity to get to know each other and come together in fellowship and prayer.
Mr. Davis?
I also agree. I think it'll also stop crime rates around the city.
Agreed. This ordinance is now closed for discussion. Ms. Lawler?
Renovation of the old Kmart building. This building would be a great place to build a laser tag arena. Laser tag is a popular attraction and it would pay for itself because there's a great demand for the entertainment nationwide.
This ordinance is now open for discussion. Mr. Alexander?
So with this, are we going to tear down the Kmart building and build a new, or are we just going to use that as it is?
Mr. Simpson?
We will use it as it is. I think it's big enough to hold a half and half, kind of a laser tag arena and also an arcade.
Mayor Summerlin?
I disagree with this ordinance because we have to look at reality. In my opinion, I honestly don't think that teenagers, and not just teenagers, but young people as a whole, are going to actually spend money to go play laser tag. They may for a few weeks, but eventually it'll get old. So I propose a 6-month plan in which we put this in place, and if it doesn't work, we change it to something else, and we trial and error to see if it actually will bring in the money we're thinking it's going to bring.
Mr. Tillis, the second.
I also agree and disagree. I see the laser tag would be a good way to get out and actually bring something new to the town and it'd be fun. Only thing about it is, yes, it will get boring after a while. That's why I propose that we should add more than just laser tag.
Mr. Davis.
I agree with Mayor Summerlin. Laser tag will kind of get old. Like, if we want to invest in more money, we should have more things instead.
Mr. Simpson.
I like the 6-month trial. If the laser tag does not work, I would propose a dollar movie theater instead of just laser tag. I think it's a great need for the city, and it would also pay back itself. So we do have two options if one doesn't work.
Mayor Sumlin.
Well, before we do anything, we have to have a budget. So does anybody have a budget put in place, how much money we're looking to spend?
Ms. Lawler.
I propose about $100,000 just for all the amenities, including laser tag and other amenities wanted, such as like a carnival or something, a game room inside the Kmart building. And it also will bring tourists in to view a beautiful site attraction of the Coosa River. So, and I kind of disagree with it not being a popular attraction. It would bring in families to come together, and I think it'll pay for itself, pretty much.
I see what we're saying by trying to bring in laser tag because it gives children something to do around here and stop the crime rates. But I think it needs to go hand in hand with the boardwalk that they're building. The thing that goes in the Kmart building needs to coincide with what is going on at the boardwalk. And a laser tag, I don't think that's the right spot to put it. Mayor Summerlin?
I agree with you. We are having a new boardwalk built by the Coosa, so whatever we put in place, if we decide to put it in place, should coexist with the boardwalk.
Mr. Tillis, the second.
I agree with Councilman Simpson. I think we should go ahead and just do the $1 movie. That way it can also coincide with the boardwalk out there.
Mr. Alexander?
If we were to do this $1 movie idea, I think that we should also set a trial time in place. I don't think 6 months would be enough. I think maybe extend it to about a year, possibly.
If we were to do this $1 movie, would it not take away business from the movie theater at the mall? Mayor Summerlin?
Well, you have to look at it at this standpoint. Competition is good, and we look at Premier 16, for example, their prices, that's a different conversation. But a dollar movie theater, it'll start competition in the city, and competition is good. And once other businesses start to compete with each other, that brings in more revenue and more money for the city. So it's really a win-win situation. So I agree, a dollar theater should be put in place.
Instead of putting it in the old Kmart building, should we not just use the old movie theater that was already existed? Mayor Summerlin?
We don't own the old movie theater, so no, we couldn't.
This ordinance is now closed for discussion. Mr. Tillis, the second.
Mayor protection. The mayor is a respectful position in our city. Therefore, it would be great to give our mayor personal police security while on the job.
This ordinance is now open for discussion. Mr. Tillis, the second.
I disagree with this ordinance. I think that the mayor has made it this far without protection. I believe he can make it further without it.
Mr. Davis?
I disagree with Councilman Tillis. I mean, if the mayor wants protection, then we should leave it up to him.
Mr. Tillis, the second.
But will this protection cost more? Or will we have to find somebody else to get him? Or will we just get some random officer to protect the mayor?
Mr. Simpson?
We will have on-duty officers protecting him. There is no need to hire anyone else. We do have 103 police officers, I think is what it was. So I would use at least one or two of them to try and protect the mayor just during the day.
Mr. Tillis, the second.
But will we have to pay these officers more?
Mr. Davis?
I mean, I don't think the cost should be on the councilman. I mean, if the mayor wants protection, then we should let him pay for it.
Mr. Alexander?
I think that on the surface, this ordinance is a good idea, but sometimes when you add protection to something, it makes them more of a target.
Mayor Summerlin?
After hearing everything that's been heard, we have to look at it like this. I need protection because I'm the mayor, and whatever goes on in the city, good or bad, whether you want to recognize it or not, it reflects off me. If something bad or something wrong goes in the city, people are after me, not the council. So I do think I need protection. And in response to what Councilman Tillis II said, true, nothing's happened to me in the past, but it's impossible to progress forward if you're constantly looking in the past. Yes, I haven't been threatened in the past, but we want to look towards making the future better, so I do think I need protection. And I'd like to ask the police chief, do you have any comments on this as far as how you could protect me?
Okay, I think, if you're just in your daily office, you don't need protection, because if you're just sitting in there, you got plenty of people to witness that. But if you're out in public, yeah, we can arrange something, maybe, if it's in the budget.
Mayor Summerlin?
Do you have any officers in mind by name?
Not that I know of.
How will we go about choosing the officers? Who do you want to protect you? Do you get to choose them?
I will leave that to the council.
And are we also responsible for hiring and paying these officers for you?
No, because we would hire police officers, so they would just be doing their duties, but expanding them, so they would be getting paid for what they do on a daily basis.
Paid extra?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Tillis II?
But won't these officers feel like some sort of debt on them if they have to protect you while also doing their other duties? Don't you think that you should pay them something else out of your pockets?
Mayor Summerlin?
We keep feelings out of business.
Ooh. Dang. Wow, okay.
Any other comments? Mr. Tillis II?
No.
Anything else, Mayor Summerlin?
No, ma'am.
Okay. This ordinance is now closed for discussion. Mr. Davis?
Build more sidewalks and repavement of roads. The city of Gaston needs to build more sidewalks in neighborhoods and in areas throughout the city. Also, potholes are an eyesore and causes great damage to cars. Potholes should be fixed within 48 hours of being reported.
This ordinance is now open for discussion. Ms. Lawler?
I agree with the building of more sidewalks, and past experience that I have been driving and people are walking on the road in the way. And I wouldn't mind if they had a sidewalk.
Mr. Tillis II?
I also agree because I also have had bad experiences with driving on the road and there not being a sidewalk. So, yeah, I agree. I think we should put those in.
Mayor Summerlin?
Do we have a budget in place to where we can do this? Because once again, money, if we don't have it, we're really just talking air here.
Does anyone have a proposed budget?
We don't have a proposed budget on the sidewalks, but we should leave it to the city for the repavements of roads, because that's our job, so.
Mayor Summerlin?
Are we looking at certain roads? Because we have to remember, not all the roads in Gaston we own, some are state. So let's just make sure whatever we decide to repave or fix, that we own it.
Ms. Lawler?
I think we should leave it to the city engineer of designing an architect plan for that.
Mayor Summerlin?
City engineer, do you have any comments on this?
Being a city engineer of Gaston, I would do whatever it takes to build a sidewalk and new roads just to help the people of Gaston.
Mr. Tillis II?
How long do we expect this process to take? Because we can't close down certain roads for a long period of time.
Mr. Davis?
I agree with Councilman Tillis II. There are some busy roads, so we will have to take the time out to open up other roads to where people have to go.
Mr. Alexander?
I don't believe that this process should take more than 2 years. Within 2 years, all the pavements should be made.
Mr. Tillis II?
Is that including roads and sidewalks or just roads?
Mr. Alexander?
Both roads and sidewalks. But also, we've talked about a budget, but how do we go about raising the money?
Mr. Tills, the second.
We could probably do a fundraiser or something. I mean, people in the community, once if you tell them that you need money to fix their roads that they drive on every day, I believe that they will put a little something in to get those roads fixed.
Or most major cities raise the taxes, sale taxes by a penny or two, just for a year or two to raise the money for these roads. If they want the roads paved, then they have to pay more to get the roads paved. Mayor Summerlin?
I just want to expand on what you said, Councilman Sams. I agree. People pay taxes to see their city progress. We have a beautiful city, so we should maintain it. So I propose a plan to have a 2% tax increase.
Any questions or comments? This ordinance is now closed for discussion. Senior citizens driving curfew.
There you go.
Our senior citizens are a valuable part of our community. We all have family members and friends who are elderly and we respect them greatly. However, having to share the road with them is a challenge for the both of us. Senior citizens generally say we drive too fast and are inexperienced. We say they drive too slow, and it's time to give up the keys. The solution is to allow senior citizens ages 65 and up to have the roadway between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Any hours after 3 p.m. would require them to be driven by a licensed adult. This would allow teenagers to have access to the roadway during hours after school where they would be going to work or just riding around. It would keep us both from complaining about each other's driving. This ordinance is now open for discussion. Mayor Summerlin?
I agree with this because we don't want to give them the wrong impression. We're not banning them from being out. We're just banning them from driving. But it's a win-win situation because you look at it, 9 to 3 p.m. is the time we're usually in school. So, you know, they've got hours to get what they need done, be out and about. And when 3 p.m. hits, we're allowed to have the road.
Mr. Simpson?
Will the curfew extend on weekends when we're not in school?
Mr. Davis?
I think we should give them the weekends, try to give them a little freedom.
How will we go about punishing them if we do find them after 3 p.m.? Mayor Summerlin?
You would do it like a regular traffic ticket, write them a citation, and of course they would have to appear in court.
And what if they find that this is unfair treatment and discrimination and they try to say the same thing about teenagers? Mayor Summerlin?
Well, if we pass this ordinance, then I guess it really wouldn't matter what they think.
Mr. Tillis, the second.
I'm sorry, I disagree with this ordinance and somewhat. I don't believe that we should take the privileges away from them because if you look at it, one day we will be senior citizens. And I don't want to be confined in the house or at a certain time. Maybe when I get older and have kids on a Sunday afternoon or Monday after my kids get out of school, I may want to take them out to get ice cream or something in the afternoon, but I won't be able to do that because of this law.
Mr. Simpson?
Instead of the curfew, I would just have a mandatory screening of their eyes. Once they hit, not 65, probably 75, and a screening of their eyes just to make sure they can see well.
Mr. Davis?
I also think they should go retake their driving test to see if they're qualified to be on the road.
Hear a lot of agreeances. Mr. Alexander?
Would this not be an inconvenience for the adults who have to drive them around?
Mr. Tillis, the second.
Yes, it will be. That's why I say we don't have the right or the authority to take someone's keys away from them if they haven't done anything wrong. Now, if they're driving reckless or driving too slow, then yes, I agree with this, but we can't just take their keys. That's taking away their rights.
How will we go about telling them that this is a law and that they have to be in at a certain time? Because there's a teenager curfew set in place, and most teenagers don't know it or they're not in the house by 12. So how will we implement this to the elderly? Mr. Davis?
I say, like, if they're driving too slow, pull them over, and if they didn't know, just give them a warning, but if you catch them again, then just ticket them.
Mayor Summerlin?
I actually agree with Councilman Simpson. I think that when they turn 65, that they should retake the driving test. And if they pass, then the curfew doesn't apply to them. And then if they don't, then the curfew does. Maybe that'll ease some tension.
Ms. Lawler?
In response to what Councilman Tillis II said about taking away their keys and stuff and having an excuse for being out, I think, you have time between 9 and 3 to do what you need to do. And, like, if as far as going to, like, the doctor and appointments, you should have, like, a paper saying or excuse saying where you're going or headed when being pulled over, so.
Mr. Alexander?
Some senior citizens are suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's, so sometimes they may forget their papers. And if you pull them over a first time, they may forget that you pulled them over. I don't think that's fair.
I don't think they should be driving anyway. Mr. Davis?
Will they have something printed on their license saying that they can be out after
It's
curfew
a good idea.
hours?
We should implement that, yes. Mr. Tillis II?
Going back to what Mayor Summerlin was saying, I think that once they do hit 65, they should retake their driver's test. And if they do pass, then they are allowed to drive. But if they don't pass, then they aren't supposed to be driving anyway because they're driving illegally without a license. So that technically won't apply to them.
Does anybody feel like we will lose citizens and this will turn into a teenager town? Mayor Summerlin?
No, I don't believe so, because this is one of the most affordable towns in the United States, so nobody's going to leave here just because of a driving license issue.
Any questions or comments? This ordinance is now closed for discussion. Any new business?
None.
Any departmental reports? Now we will have remarks by the council. Mr. Tillis II?
I just want to thank all the councilmen for taking us upstairs and for just showing us what all y'all do and letting us job shadow y'all. I want to thank the YMCA and the mayor for just putting this on and just allowing us to be able to come here. I want to thank Ms. Katie for bringing us along because she didn't have to do that, so thank you.
Ms. Lawler?
Ditto what Ricky Tillis II said. I really appreciate this. This was a great opportunity, and it was. I had fun. The experience was fun. Thank you to everyone.
Mr. Alexander?
I think that this day was very productive. Came in, we learned a little bit about what happens in politics, what goes on, and it has inspired me to some sort to want to be a politician. So, thank you.
Mr. Davis?
I just want to say thank you to our councilman, the mayor, Ms. Katie, for letting us have this opportunity. It's a one-in-a-lifetime thing. Like, you never know when you'll see this again, so thank y'all.
Ms. Spears?
I want to thank everybody for letting us have this experience and learning new things about Gaston. And thank you.
Mr. Simpson?
I want to thank the YMCA for sponsoring this event. I want to thank Miss Ivan Nelson for putting this on for us and Miss Katie. And I want to thank the people that catered the food over there. That was pretty good. Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Bradford?
I just want to say that I had a fun day today, and I appreciate this opportunity that we had, and I just want to thank everyone.
Mayor Summerlin?
I just want to thank Ms. Katie and Ms. Ivan Nelson and the YMCA for putting this together. I had a really good time today from the time I walked in the door. I want to thank Mayor Guyton, who I job shadowed. It was just real inspiring, learning what his day entails of. I just had a really good time, and it's inspired me to want to continue to pursue my dreams as a politician, so thank you.
I would first like to thank Ms. Hardrick for allowing us to come here and choosing us. I would second like to thank Mr. Falcon and the YMCA. Without y'all, this day would not be possible. I would like to thank the councilman for letting us be in y'all's shoes for one day and see what y'all go through. Thank you very much, and you have inspired us all.
Let's have another big round of applause for everybody. It was obvious that you put a lot of time and research into your subjects that you brought up and discussed today. So we thank you for that. And we appreciate everybody who contributed toward making this day possible and increasing the enjoyment of the students, because it was all about the students today. So we hope that you've learned something. We hope that you had a great time. I think we need to probably remain where we are so that we can get some pictures. We have some news media present today, and we thank them for coming. So just kind of hold your positions when I finish here. Miss Katie, do we need to make any other announcements?
No, not really, but those who sold their cameras to me at 2:30, go ahead and call them quiet until we're done.
Yeah, when we had the orientation, I said, you know, your meeting will go a lot faster than you anticipate that it will, because when you talk and things go pretty quickly, so I think you can see things did progress very quickly today. But y'all have been a great group. I'm very impressed. I feel confident that our future is in good hands with all of you, and I wish you the best as you complete your senior year and whatever you go on to after that. I hope that you will be very successful. Thanks for being here. Okay, Ms. Hardrick.
Again, I'd like to thank these guys and girls for giving up our class time, some of our class times, and really put forth an effort to learn